You've already seen it. You know exactly what happens next. The joke, the twist, the death, the ending. And yet, there you are, sitting in the dark, again. The same opening music hums through your speakers. The same characters walk into the same rooms. The same dialogue unfolds, word for word, like a script your brain has already memorized. But this time, something feels different, warmer, safer, almost necessary. So here's the question. Why would a rational human mind choose predictability over novelty, comfort over discovery, repetition over progress? Why do some people return to the same stories over and over again, like they're trying to relive something that was never really there? At first glance, it looks harmless, maybe even boring. Rewatching the same TV shows, the same movies, the same scenes. But underneath that habit, there's something deeper, something psychological. Because the human brain isn't wired just to seek excitement, it's wired to survive. And sometimes, survival doesn't look like adventure. Sometimes, it looks like control. This phenomenon, this urge to revisit familiar stories, isn't just nostalgia. It's tied to anxiety, memory, emotional regulation, and even subtle forms of psychological self-defense. So the real question becomes, what is your mind trying to protect you from when it presses play on something you've already finished? Segment 1. The comfort loop, when your brain chooses safety over surprise. Imagine walking into a room where every detail is exactly where you left it. The chair angled just right, the light falling in the same familiar way, the silence predictable and calm. There's no need to scan for danger, no need to prepare for the unexpected. Your body softens without you even noticing. That's the quiet psychological effect of rewatching something you've already seen. When you experience new content, your brain shifts into a subtle state of alertness. It begins mapping unfamiliar faces, tracking unpredictable plot lines, and anticipating emotional turns. Deep within, the amygdala, the brain's built-in alarm system, remains slightly active, constantly asking, what happens next? Is this safe? Even if you're relaxed on the surface, your mind is working harder than you realize. Uncertainty, after all, has always been linked to survival. The unknown could mean risk, so your brain treats it cautiously. But when you rewatch a movie or series, that tension dissolves. The story is no longer a mystery, it's a memory. You already know the rhythm of events, the emotional highs and lows, the outcomes that once surprised you. There are no sudden shocks waiting around the corner, no need to brace yourself. And in that familiarity, something powerful happens. Your brain lets go. This creates a deep sense of psychological safety. Cognitive neuroscience suggests that when information is familiar, your brain reduces its effort to process it. That reduced cognitive load frees up mental space, allowing you to simply experience rather than analyze. Instead of tension, you feel ease. Instead of anticipation, you feel control. In a world that often feels chaotic, unpredictable, and overwhelming, rewatching becomes a controlled environment. A loop where nothing can go wrong because everything has already happened. You're not just watching anymore, you're returning to a place your mind trusts. For people dealing with stress, anxiety, or emotional overload, this loop becomes more than a habit. It becomes a refuge, a reliable escape where outcomes are guaranteed and emotions are manageable. Because in the end, rewatching isn't just about entertainment, it's about relief. Segment 2. Emotional time travel. The nostalgia trap. But comfort isn't the only reason we return to the same stories. Sometimes when you rewatch something, you're not just revisiting the plot, you're revisiting yourself. A specific couch, a dimly lit room, a quiet night that meant nothing at the time, but somehow became everything in memory. The version of you that sat there, feeling something raw, unfiltered, and real. That moment didn't just pass, it was encoded. Deep inside your brain, the hippocampus acts like an archivist. It doesn't just store events, it binds them together with emotions, environments, even subtle sensory details like the hum of a fan or the smell in the air. So when you return to a movie from your past, It doesn't feel like simple viewing, it feels like time travel. Suddenly, you're not just watching scenes unfold, you're stepping back into a version of life that no longer exists. Maybe it was simpler, maybe it was happier, or maybe it just felt more certain than now. And for a brief moment, it almost feels like you found it again. That's where nostalgia begins to shift. Because you're no longer chasing the story, you're chasing the feeling attached to it. And here's where it turns darker. The brain can recall emotions, but it can't perfectly recreate them. The intensity fades, the context is gone. Life has changed, and so have you. So even though the scenes are identical, something feels slightly off, incomplete, so you try again. Another rewatch, another attempt, another quiet hope that this time it'll feel exactly the same. But it never quite does. And that gap, the space between what you remember and what you feel now, keeps pulling you back in. Each rewatch becomes less about enjoyment and more about pursuit. A subtle, almost invisible loop forms. This isn't just nostalgia anymore, it's psychological looping, a quiet form of emotional dependency where you keep returning, not because it satisfies you, but because it almost does. Segment 3. The illusion of control. Why predictable pain feels better than uncertainty. Here's where it gets unsettling. People don't just rewatch happy content, they rewatch tragedies. They revisit painful endings, heartbreak, loss, betrayal. Why? Because predictable pain feels safer than unpredictable reality. In real life, you don't know what's coming. You don't know who will leave, who will change, what will go wrong. But in a movie, even the saddest ending is controlled. You know exactly when the pain hits and exactly when it ends. That creates a powerful illusion, control over emotion. Your prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for decision-making and emotional regulation, prefers predictable patterns. It can prepare, it can brace itself. So when you rewatch a sad scene, you're not just feeling the emotion, you're mastering it. You're choosing when to feel it, how intensely, and when to stop. In a world where emotions often feel overwhelming and uncontrollable, that kind of control is deeply seductive. And over time, it trains your brain. It teaches you that scripted emotions are safer than real ones, that controlled pain is better than chaotic uncertainty. And that's where rewatching stops being a harmless habit and starts becoming a psychological coping mechanism. The twist and application. Now here's the part that gets personal. You might not think of yourself as someone trapped in a loop, but think about this. Have you ever opened a streaming platform, scrolled endlessly through hundreds of options, and still chosen something you've already seen? Not because it's the best option, but because it's the safest one. That's your brain avoiding risk, avoiding disappointment, avoiding the unknown. It's the same mechanism behind procrastination, comfort zones, even certain types of relationships. We don't always choose what's new, we choose what we can control. And sometimes, that means choosing a story where nothing can surprise us, hurt us, or challenge us. But here's the danger. If you only consume what's familiar, your mind slowly stops adapting to uncertainty. It becomes less resilient, less curious, more dependent on predictability. And without realizing it, you start living your life the same way you watch your shows, replaying the same patterns, avoiding new risks, staying inside loops that feel safe but quietly limit your growth. So the next time you press play on something you've already seen, ask yourself, are you watching it because you love the story, or because your mind is hiding from something it doesn't want to face? Because the same brain that seeks comfort is also capable of trapping you inside it. And if you think this is just about movies, wait until you see how the exact same pattern controls your habits, your relationships, and even your biggest life decisions. And that is why you need to watch the next video.